Hello everyone, this is Mr. Recap Movies here, and today we're going to be talking about an action, sci-fi movie called Greenland 2, Migration. Be ready for some spoilers ahead. It kicks off with a voiceover from John, explaining how the Clark comet wiped out over 75% of the world's population. 5 years after impact, humanity still isn't safe. Massive fragments remain trapped in Earth's orbit, crashing down without warning. Attempts to rebuild have failed. The planet is broken, with entire regions burned to ash while a few strange pockets remain inexplicably green. John and his family are among the survivors, sheltering inside a massive underground bunker in Greenland. Life inside is tense and repetitive. Outside, radiation storms turn the air toxic, while inside, food and supplies are running dangerously low. Now a hardened scout and engineer, John suits up in a hazmat-style suit for a routine surface patrol. As he radios back to base, he chats with an operator about the unpredictable electromagnetic storms that can instantly disable equipment, and one may be forming nearby. During his patrol, John notices a new crack in the earth, with lava pouring out. Reaching the shoreline, John finds abandoned lifeboats and a stranded destroyer. Hoping to salvage anything useful, he checks the boats first, then boards the ship. Inside, he gathers tools that could help the bunker survive longer, but he also comes across the remains of the crew, long dead. He removes his mask briefly and discovers a book pressed with a dried flower. Suddenly, he's warned that the electromagnetic storm has shifted course and is now heading straight for him. John sprints back toward the bunker as the sky erupts into a violent lightning storm. With the storm closing in fast, he barely makes it inside, narrowly escaping death and foreshadowing the chaos ahead. Soon after, the community gathers for a tense council meeting. Supplies are critically low. Adam remains hopeful, believing they might be able to start planting crops within a year. But Dr. Amina, a leading scientist, shuts that hope down. Radiation exposure is increasing, and staying in the bunker long-term isn't an option. They'll be forced to leave within a year. Allison, now a key leader in the bunker, proposes a risky contingency plan, Western Europe. Reports suggest fewer storms in that region. Then Dr. Amina drops a bombshell. Scattered radio signals point to the main impact crater being located in southern France. The comet's minerals have somehow created a nutrient-rich zone where plants are growing and the air is breathable. Surrounded by mountains and shielded from radioactive winds, it may be humanity's best chance to rebuild civilization. The council grows uneasy. Reaching Europe won't be easy. Radio reports warn of fighting, insurgencies, and civil war among survivors already there. John meets with a psychiatrist who asks how he's coping with this new reality. John admits he's learned to live with it. The psychiatrist encourages him to be honest with his partner and stop pretending everything is fine. Suddenly, the bunker begins to shake violently. Panic spreads until it finally stops. A general steps in to calm everyone down, reminding them that if humanity survived the Clark comet, they can survive an earthquake too. Allison brings up the distress signal the bunker received, but Adam immediately shuts it down, saying they can't take in any more people. Allison refuses to abandon survivors and pushes to put the decision to a vote. The majority agrees to attempt the rescue, and the general confirms a rescue team will be deployed the next day. Meanwhile, Allison and John's son, Nathan, attend school inside the bunker. He's developed a deep fascination with the stars. During class, the teacher explains that fragments of the comet are still trapped in Earth's gravitational pull, forming a glowing ring around the planet. Later, Allison and Nathan meet John at the community hall. John gives Allison the dried flower he found on the destroyer, a quiet symbol of hope. Allison worries about the radiation exposure from his scouting missions, but she thanks him for everything he's doing. When they talk to Nathan, Allison reveals he was caught sneaking outside earlier. John scolds him, reminding him how dangerous it is, but Nathan, clearly frustrated, excuses himself. Allison points out that he's becoming just like his father, always pushing past danger. Allison and John spends the rest of the night together, dancing and enjoying a rare moment of warmth. While in his bunker room, Nathan gazes at homemade star constellations projected onto his ceiling using a sheet pierced with tiny holes. The next morning, the rescue team successfully retrieves stranded survivors and begins heading back to base under military supervision. John goes to check on his friend when they both notice a crack forming along the bunker wall. At the same time, the rescue team immediately loses contact with the military supervision as the bunker suddenly begins to shake violently. Power cuts out. Walls fracture. The structure starts collapsing as people cling to anything they can. When the quake finally stops, John pulls himself up with his friend's help and immediately rushes to find Allison. She's shaken but unharmed. Together, they sprint to Nathan, who is already masked and prepared. They tell him to pack only essentials, including his insulin, since he's diabetic. John grabs extra masks, and the family attempts to evacuate, but the main exit is jammed with panicked survivors. John leads them to another exit, only to find it partially collapsed. Crawling under broken concrete, they barely squeeze through. As John opens the outer door, the ground shakes again. They run just in time before the structure collapses behind them. Outside, chaos erupts. People flood toward the sea. In the confusion, they briefly lose Nathan but find him helping Dr. Amina. Reunited, they push toward the shoreline, where lifeboats are overcrowded. Nearby, people try to steal Adam's mask. John and Allison step in to help, but during the struggle, someone steals John's mask. They manage to break free and spot an open lifeboat. Rushing inside, they seal the door, even as desperate survivors pound on it from outside. The pilot starts the engine, pulling away from shore. Moments later, a massive wave rises in the distance. Everyone braces for impact. The tsunami wipes out those left on shore, but their boat survives the crushing wave. With only a week's worth of supplies, they decide to head toward England. Radiation levels drop enough for them to remove their masks. As days pass, the boat begins to malfunction, but John manages to repair it using his engineering skills. At night, Nathan stares at the sky, marveling at the comet debris still glowing in Earth's orbit. He points out constellations he learned in school. Suddenly, a meteor streaks across the sky, and they wonder where it will strike. The next morning, the engine fails again. This time, the pilot reveals they've run out of fuel. Now completely at the mercy of ocean currents, tension builds as days drag on. Everyone grows restless. Then, the boat slams into something beneath the surface. They step outside and discover an underwater structure beneath them. John immediately recognizes the place. It's Liverpool. Half the city is submerged. They paddle toward dry ground and climb out, knowing they need shelter fast. Spotting a group of survivors moving with purpose, they follow them and soon discover a guarded rescue bunker. Crowds desperately try to get inside, while soldiers hold them back. John explains they're from the Greenland bunker and are seeking refuge. The soldiers demand bunker badges, but only Allison still has hers. The others lost theirs during the escape. The guards refuse to let them in. As panic erupts behind them, chaos breaks out. The soldiers open fire, shooting at them and firing more rounds to seal the gates. In the confusion, the group is separated. A radioactive storm is approaching fast. John urges Dr. Amina, who is holding Adam's lifeless body, to move on, telling her he's already gone. The remaining four flag down a passing car. The driver demands John's watch in exchange for a ride. He hands it over without hesitation. They manage to escape the radioactive storm just in time. They stop briefly to rest, now only 30 minutes from London. John chats with the driver, Obi, who also introduces himself. John then asks him if he believes Crater is real. Obi says it sounds nice, but it's mostly a fairy tale. While Nathan joins his father. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake. John yells for everyone to grab onto something as meteors rain down from the sky. He clutches Nathan and holds onto a tree as fiery debris crashes around them. When the shaking slows, John spots the driver running toward the car. He screams for him to stop. Meteors are still falling. The driver insists the car is everything he owns. Seconds later, he's crushed by falling debris. Once the meteor storm ends, they collect what they can from the wrecked car and continue on foot toward London. They arrive at Mackenzie's house, where she greets them with a gun raised, until she recognizes them and breaks into relief. She welcomes them inside. The house is filled with Alzheimer's patients. Mackenzie explains that they have no idea about the meteors, and she dedicates her life to keeping them calm and happy. That night, despite distant gunfire echoing through the city, Mackenzie insists London is safe, at least as safe as she can make it. When John asks about the crater, she admits she's only heard rumors. Later that night, Allison wakes to hear John coughing violently. She rushes to him and is horrified to see blood. John finally admits the truth. Years of scouting in radioactive air have taken their toll. He has 6 weeks left to live. He begs her not to tell Nathan. Though Allison insists this place has medical care, John refuses to die there. He wants to reach the crater and spend his remaining time helping them reach safety, giving his son a chance at a better future. The next morning, they prepare to leave. Mackenzie gives them a car, supplies, and a gun for protection. She tells them to head to Dover, where they can cross the English Channel. During the long drive, they play card games to distract themselves. Suddenly, gunfire erupts. Amina is shot as attackers attempt to steal their vehicle. They dive out. John grabs the gun and fires back, killing one attacker. When John runs out of ammo, Allison grabs the fallen man's weapon and fires, saving them. Nathan is unharmed, but Dr. Amina is dead. They bury her by the roadside. John says a few words, giving her a proper farewell. After hours of driving, they reach the English Channel, only to discover the sea is completely gone. Land stretches from Britain to France. On the bright side, they no longer need a boat. They drive straight toward France. Eventually, traffic grinds to a halt near a massive canyon. Getting out, they see survivors have built makeshift bridges to cross it. Nathan freezes in fear, but John encourages him to be brave. They step onto the narrow, wind-battered bridge. A powerful gust nearly knocks them off, but they hold on and reach a middle platform. With more crossings ahead, the ground suddenly begins to quake again. Racing against time, they crawl across a ladder bridge. Another earthquake hits mid-crossing. People scream. A nearby rope bridge snaps, sending survivors plummeting into the canyon. One man panics and jumps onto their bridge, slamming into Nathan. Nathan dangles, barely holding on, until John pulls him back up. As the platform collapses behind them, they sprint and make it to solid ground just as the entire structure collapses into the canyon below. They continue walking, unsure if they've even reached France. Everything looks ruined. Suddenly, a man steps out and aims a gun at them. John calmly introduces them and explains they mean no harm. They're only trying to reach the crater. The man lowers his weapon, shakes John's hand, and invites them to follow him. He leads them to an abandoned mill in Calais, which he's turned into his home. The man explains that he runs his home on solar power and filters the radioactive air as best as possible. He introduces them to his wife and his daughter, Camilla. His wife is paralyzed and unable to speak, another victim of prolonged radiation exposure. During dinner, the man asks why they're trying to reach the crater. John tells him they've heard it's the promised land, humanity's last hope. The man warns them that the crater is extremely dangerous. It's currently defended by the Western Alliance, along with remnants of the French military, while the Eastern Alliance is trying to seize its resources. The entire region has become an active war zone, nearly impossible to cross. That night, Camilla shows Nathan her room, and Nathan proudly shows her his blanket covered in hand-drawn constellations. Later, Allison lies beside John and asks what her father said to him privately before they left for the Greenland bunker. John finally tells her the truth. Her father made him promise to protect Allison and Nathan, no matter what. The next morning, the French man gives them a map, explaining a dangerous route that avoids the worst of the fighting. He tells them that once they reach a Western Alliance base, they should ask for Commander Jennett and show him a photograph. Jennett was his old friend, and he believes he can help them reach the crater. He then makes one last request, begging them to take Camilla with them, since he can't leave his wife behind. John and Allison agree and thank him. After an emotional goodbye, Camilla joins them, and they continue their journey. As they travel, John begins coughing again. Allison suggests they stop and rest. While taking a break, several armed vehicles suddenly approach them. The men warn that civilians aren't allowed in this region due to insurgent activity. Camilla explains they're searching for Commander Jennett, who can help them reach the crater. The armed leader says the only way there is through an active war zone. Desperate, John begs the man to help them cross. That night, the man leads them through forests and ruined villages as explosions light up the sky and gunfire echoes nonstop. They repeatedly take cover as the fighting intensifies. Eventually, the man successfully guides them across the worst of the war zone and sends them on their way. After days of traveling on foot, they finally reach a Western Alliance outpost where other survivors are camped. John shows the photograph to a guard and asks for Commander Jennett. Instead, the guard points to a dead body. Jennett has been killed. He tells them there's nothing he can do. John breaks down, begging the man to help them. He explains his condition and the promise he made to his family. Reluctantly, the guard agrees to help, ordering a soldier to make space for them inside a bus transporting refugees closer to the crater. As the bus moves under military escort, they're suddenly ambushed by Eastern Alliance insurgents. A firefight erupts. The escort soldier is killed, followed by another soldier inside the bus. Insurgents storm the vehicle, forcing everyone to flee. Refusing to abandon his family, John fights back inside the bus. A brutal struggle follows. Gunshots echo. John is hit, but he manages to kill the insurgent. Allison takes control of the bus and drives them away from the chaos. They reach a hill where the damaged vehicle can go no farther and continue the journey on foot. John grows weaker from radiation sickness and his gunshot wound. He coughs up more blood but hides it from Nathan. Allison notices and fears the worst, but they push on with the remaining survivors. At last, they reach the peak overlooking the massive impact crater. The sight is breathtaking. Unlike the scorched, radioactive wasteland beyond it, the crater is protected by surrounding mountains. Inside are patches of fertile land, fresh water, clearer skies, and signs of new growth. nature slowly reclaiming a small piece of the earth. John, barely standing, gazes at the crater with peace in his eyes. He tells Allison and Nathan that this is the future he fought for, a life worth his sacrifice. He dies quietly in Allison's arms as Nathan says an emotional goodbye. The story ends on a hopeful note. Allison, Nathan, Camilla, and the surviving refugees begin settling the crater. The narration emphasizes hope, family, resilience, and the belief that even after near-total destruction, humanity can rebuild, this time choosing compassion over conflict. So what do you guys think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my video, please press like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.